all I need for a seer and higher self. So I connect to your higher self, which is the most secure answers. And then as a seer, I can go into, some people call them past lives, but I just call them, there's basically the potential of multiple life timelines. So we connect with the timeline that the answer, where the answer is. Thank you for being here. Okay, so let's see. So seer and higher self. So as a seer, so what is a seer? So I know many of my other timelines, and no matter where I go, um, I always am a seer. It's kind of like my main expression or my main strength. You can think of it that way, but it's kind of like more like a style because everything is a choice, right? So it's like, say you want to be a healer, and so everywhere you go, you're like an empath and you can feel kind of what people are feeling in their body and how they're doing. It's kind of like that. And then, but you naturally do it. It's not like you're thinking, oh, I wonder, what's going on with this person. You instantly feel it in your body and then you instantly get feedback. So it's kind of like that with seeing. I I always could just see not just what people were telling me, but could see kind of the bigger picture. And then I could also link with different timelines to see if things were happening in other timelines. So I just got confirmation the sound is good. So we're just going to do a quick clearing. The hair is like an antenna. So we're going to do a quick clearing, energy clearing. So we're always asking for the highest and greatest good and to just release everything with ease and grace, connecting to source consciousness through the heart. So everything that I do. So before I even start any sessions or the YouTube lives, I always salt the four corners and then claim any windows or mirrors in source's name, and then spray a little bit of essential oils. I'm using peppermint. I like lavender, but it's not strong enough for clearing and a sealing. So I use, right now I'm using peppermint essential oil, and I just put it in a little bottle, um, and then spritz the corners and then the doorway. So I'm securing the space, and then I'm also calling in the team, I call them. So how do I call in the team? Is first I connect to my heart and then connect to my higher self. So my higher self, your higher self is your highest consciousness. And then nowadays, we have to just nowadays and all days and all time space, we have to be really careful because 3D is convoluted and very tricky. So I always say higher self, only source aligned. And then the guides that I call in, I also call in only guides of unconditional love and only source aligned, meaning their agenda is with source. There is no agenda. So if there is an agenda, they're not invited in this space. And so that is the way to get kind of the clearest answers. And so sometimes when people ask about their health or something or their work, but then there's something in their field like interfering. So as like a multidimensional seer, then we look at, okay, what is causing the interference, but with your whole field. And it's really beautiful. It's a really nice rounded way of getting answers because you're also finding out, okay, well, what is it in your field? Like a session that I did recently, one of the first activations was activating the inner divine feminine and the inner divine masculine activation and the Kundalini up and down the spine. So there was interference. So we're always looking at what is interfering. Why is it, like for me, for her higher self, what came through is, how come that there's a blockage with agency? How come there's a blockage with moving forward? And so we look at that. And then actually, I forgot the first thing I do the moment I pick up my phone, this is an iPhone, I don't know, probably 16 or something or 15. I um I do the technology degree. So I claim especially the camera in source's name, the microphone in source's name. I claim all the apps in source's name, especially all the updates, the software updates, Siri and Apple Intelligence, they call it, and the App Store. So I basically go through all the apps and I claim them in source's name. So the technology decree is one of the most important decrees right now or in any time space because the interference that comes from 4D to 3D, it originates from 4D, right? So they can kind of see the overview of 3D and then they interfere with 3D. And so the technology decree is the most important because they're they're constantly agitating our nervous system with frequency. It's kind of like how it looked to me is that, when they have cows and they're electrocuting them to move along in a certain direction and kind of controlling their direction, that's kind of how they think of us or see us from 4D. They kind of use electricity to kind of prod us along. And they're fallen, so they're the Anunnaki, Annunaki, um and they use technology, but they have like a parasite, or they have fallen, so they have like 1%, consciousness. And so if you think of the heart has 500, and so they don't have much available of source consciousness to them. And so they do everything in the inversion. So say source would be unconditional love. Well, they're the inversion. So for them, they love pain and fear and trauma. And so that is basically the frequency of 3D. And then there's basically three, I call them the controllers, but they think of themselves as the architects. They don't really like the word the controllers because they think they're more sophisticated than that. But 3D is controlled by the Draco reptilians. And then 4D is controlled by the Anunnaki, Annunaki. And then 7D interference comes in from the insectoids, and one of them is called the prey mantis, Prey, and then mantis, Mantis. So it sounds kind of and gross and yuck, because it's like, but we know there's interference. And we know that even if we're sitting here, we're not peaceful. So how come, you know? Like we know that there's interference. Like people, say entities, but entities frightens people. It's not worth using that word. But because that would also be giving them a lot of credit, because what they do is they do like interference. So I see them as overlays. Sometimes I'll see them as like metal cages or metal. They're very, they're very fine. Like they're not thick. It's not like a thick metal plate. It's very fine. And when it gets um like evaporated, it just turns to like dust. And then we just have to move out, the dust, and then that's when soaking your feet with Epsom salts really helps, or going into the ocean or salt water, because the salt water will draw out um the interference, and it's like they're like little metal shards. It kind of it's that fine, and it's that irritating to the nervous system, because if our nervous system is constantly hijacked and we're all the time anxious, we're all the time afraid, we're all the time worried, I'm just feeling something in my right eye, so we're just going to ask for source healing and clearing for that, to bring in source's golden light. And then just breathe. And this may be for everybody that's watching right now. Let's look at the chat. So welcome. Um, let's see. Maggie says, hello, Elaine and everyone, and triple red hearts. Thank you, Maggie. I'm going to send you some hearts back. Thank you for being here. Okay, and then let's see. Helen is here. Hi, Helen, with a pink hand waving. That's really cute. Thanks, Helen. I'm going to send you some hearts. And then Sinija is here, and she says that she can stay until noon today. Okay, thanks, Sinija. Yeah, because sometimes we go over an hour, and then sometimes it's over an hour, sometimes it's exactly an hour. Sometimes if I get a message and I wake up in the morning and they say, and my higher self says, do it exactly an hour, I do it exactly on the button in an hour, but I didn't get a message today. And Helen says, hi, Maggie and Sunija with a pink waving heart. I mean, pink waving hand. Thank you. That's so nice. And then Sunija says, hi to Helen and Maggie. Great. So nice community that we're building, right? So 5D, this is a 5D community. So 5D community, there's no leader, there's no hierarchy, there's no better, right? Everybody has their style of how they want to communicate and express themselves in this life, in this body. And then it's a choice, like I could be a seer and I could not do anything public, and that could be my choice, right? So, but anyways, I was told. I got the message. And actually, I really enjoy the lives. I really enjoy doing this. So let's see. Um, I'm just looking at the field. It's very calm today, I'd say. I would say that a lot of the decrees that are coming through, we're doing a lot of, I haven't actually published these decrees, but I've done decrees on the false fallen angels. And then I've done another decree with the energy vampires. And then the other one has been the womb healing decree. And so what I saw is the installations in the womb obstruct kind of like your divine pairing from coming through. And it's not about gender, but it's a balanced masculine and feminine energy. So the masculine holds, like how I was shown, is the masculine kind of is down, and then the feminine is like up. So the feminine is kind of is like the receiver of the signals from source. And then the left side of the body, the masculine, grounds it into the body and grounds it in on earth. So both are important, and having a balance of both is really important. And then with the womb healing decree, which hasn't been published yet, but it's coming. All in divine timing, I heard. So I'm kind of told not told, but of like, yes, go forward with this one, because it's basically what is needed in the field. And the womb healing is a big one because they put like an interference, and it can be like quite big. Like what I saw was like it can be like the size of a baby, like almost the size of a baby that's being born. So that could be like 7 or 8 pounds, right, of interference in the body, in the womb. So, and they'll put like a kind of like a cage just so that you don't actually have, when you are ready to have a baby, if you choose to have a baby, that you're kind of blocked from your divine counterpart, so that there's this confusion, and then you'll end up with like a reptilian or a Draco reptilian, which is like a total nightmare. But that's kind of been the goal. So to cause that interference. So, and I saw it this morning, and I saw like it can be planted small, like earlier in your life. Like one client, like it was planted in her when she was like 14 by the praying mantis. and we saw it and we removed it. And then I know it sounds I used to know, actually I don't like sci-fi. So, but a lot of stuff that I say sounds very sci-fi, but I actually don't like sci-fi. I like the organic, like I like earth, I like the body, I like source consciousness, I like like all this trickery. Like I am not a fan, but I'm not scared of any of it. I've seen it, I've cleared it for myself. I've embodied 5D consciousness. I've awakened twice in my life. So if I can do it, anyone can do it. It's not a brag. It's like a total nightmare to do it twice, and I'm hoping no one chooses what I chose, which is to do it again. And it's more like I was also shown that we can just be like neutral about it, like that 0 point neutral from the third eye, where you're seeing everything as an observer, and lots of different kind of meditation styles teach that of you're not in denial, but you're not like well, the words that are coming out, it's like you're not hot-headed about it or like upset or afraid. Like they want you to be so afraid of the Anunnaki and oh my goodness. It's like, ugh, like they're 1% consciousness. It's like they're like fleas, like they're not, they do cause so much destruction and it is really gross on 5D, but we have to stop seeing them as powerful. They are not powerful. They are like a flea, in comparison to source, so if we're communicating to source and we're communicating to our higher selves, that is the most powerful thing we can do in connecting to our hearts. That's why they attack like the third eye and the crown and the womb and the solar plexus. They attack all the other chakras before, you know, the heart. All I've seen are kind of overlays, you know, but there's more tech like in the womb and the third eye and the crown. So, anyways, don't be afraid. They're like little flies. No, they're like little fleas. They're even smaller than flies. But they're irritating, right? Because fleas, if you get bitten by a flea and say you have allergic reaction to a flea, then, it's like really itchy and it's like very bothersome. But that's kind of like how we have to start seeing them. We have to stop being, or not have to, but we can choose to not be afraid, like just see them as like a speck, like a fly, no, like a flea. I'm like a fly. Even that's too big. That's giving them too much credit. That's giving them, a fly would be a lot bigger than a flea. A flea is like a speck. All right, let's have some water. Oh, refreshing. Okay, that was very refreshing. Okay. Um, Cindy just says, yes, I feel like I'm in a hurry all the time. Yeah, so just looking at the chat. Yeah. And then Helen says, Helen, she, her, 1982, my right eye is off. And can you help make sure I'm aligned? That would help. Thanks. So Helen, 1982, she, her, my right eye is off. And can you help make sure I'm aligned? That would help. Thanks. Okay. So let's take a look at Helen's right eye, 1982. So we're wanting to bring, right away, they're saying we want to bring clarity to Helen's right eye. Oh, and I think my right eye was bothering me at the beginning of the live. So yeah, that Helen is saying, yes, that's for me. Okay, so let's take a look. So right away, they're just doing a clearing of your energy. So overall energy. So you're going to feel, they're saying you're going to feel nice and fluffy and revived. And the they being your higher self, only source aligned, and guides, only source aligned. We're very strict about that. So they have to be in service. They can't have their own agenda. And the Anunnaki only have an agenda, which is loosh, which is draining your energy, because they don't have any from their own free will choice. They chose tech over heart-based source consciousness. So they're saying that will help clear your field and bringing clarity. So what they're doing is they're clearing your field. They're calling it, like, say if there's the sun and then there's like a horizon, they're like clearing, bringing clarity to your right eye, which is the divine feminine. So, and they're clearing it kind of like as a field. So sometimes, actually, usually when there's a clearing of the field, there's also things maybe that we don't want to see, like with the right eye. And they're saying it's like almost like you need to kind of have binoculars to see it because it's so far away from you. So it could, in a way, you could see it as like in this life, it would be like childhood, or in other, or you could see it in other timelines. So, but they're wanting to bring, so for healing to happen, we need to see things as they are, name them as they are, and then surrender them to source as they are, right? No fixing, no saying, but they didn't mean it, or it wasn't that bad. It's like, oh, really? Tell your younger self that. And they'll punch you. They won't punch you, but you tell your younger self, they're saying that this hurt me, and you tell them it wasn't that bad, they will be very upset with you. Okay, so we have to say things as they are. It doesn't mean we're taking any action, we're not blaming anybody, we're not taking anybody to court. We're just saying, this is how it was, and this is what hurt. Okay. So that clarity, for clarity, things need to be named as they are, not how we want them to be, but as they are, right? And saying somebody that causes harm, they caused harm because of their childhood is garbage. Okay? I had a psychopath mother, and I don't walk around as a psychopath, and I'm not a psychopath mother. So just because a parent has been horrific, we can still choose to not be horrific, right? And I don't use that word lightly. It is a real accurate word. So we have to name, and it took me a long time. I think I was 43 after like years of therapy and 3 years of awakening with Eckhart, when I finally would admit that my mom was a psychopath, meaning she was extremely abusive and felt nothing for it. She actually felt nothing. Like she felt like she was surprised I lived. It was that, like that. She was that, she was the Draco reptilian. So she had no empathy. And they're like a robot, they just keep repeating the same trauma over and over and over and over again. They're like I mean, really, if you could want to think of anybody that's possessed, it would be the Draco reptilians and the reptilians, because they repeat the same thing over and over and over again. And they have like no empathy and no feeling, and they're like robots, but that's like, to me, it's like offending robots by calling them robots, because there is a consciousness. They're doing it on purpose. Their goal is to cause destruction. Their goal is to cause so much interference that you die. Like that's their goal. Especially if you're like here to activate your own awakening and source consciousness connection. And for me, all I've ever done in any timeline is awaken consciousness. So that is their goal, and they know what they're doing. It's not like, oopsie, I didn't know. They know. It's pre-planned, it's premeditated. They have no creativity. They repeat the same things over and over and over again. Okay. So how does this have, so what does this have to do with Helen? All of that big spiel. So in order to have clarity in the right eye, which is the divine feminine, we have to see things as they are, not the way we want them to be, but as they are, and admitting them is actually 50% of it. So admitting it and then surrendering. So meaning you're not changing, you're not fixing, you're not making excuses. You're saying, this is how it was, this is what happened, and I surrender it to source, only source. And then we bring in the golden light of source. And it sounds simple, but the surrendering process is what holds empaths back in being stuck because they want to fix, they want to make things better. And I was like that. I wanted to fix, I wanted to make things better. I made excuses, and that's what empaths do. That's what light workers do. That's what starseeds do. That's what the black sheep do. They don't want things to be as they are. But being able, like what I saw on Saturday, is like seeing war or fighting, maybe even family fighting. And then can you be 0 point neutral inside of your body, meaning like you don't jump in, right? Like if it's not yours, can you be neutral? Like Eckhart at the Whistler retreat, he kept using Trump as the example. Like, can you listen to Trump without activating the pain body? I can, right? So if I can, you can, right? So we don't know where all the manipulation and the control is, but we know that the goal is to create an intense amount of fear and then a collapse, that you feel so afraid that you feel hopeless and you collapse, basically. And they're just saying, like, be really gentle with yourself, like a little, like, how little birds are so tiny, but they're like so brave. They're like hanging on like a tiny branch, and they're just doing it, but they're so tiny. And they're just so brave. So just kind of, I don't know. They just said to let you know that, you know? Yeah, I can really feel it in my heart, them showing you that, just your bravery. They just want to acknowledge your bravery and that the clarity is coming in, but there's like a process to clarity. And you do need binoculars to see it, so I know that it is either in another time space and it's another time space and it's also in your childhood, so it's both, they're saying. And then just doing a bit of clearing for you, Helen, a bit more clearing, and then just helping the right eye. It's a big activation, the 9D Oharai, Ohorai. It is a gift. It seems intense, but it is a gift. Just clearing, clearing, clearing. I do brush my hair before the lives. So I feel like when there are knots, it's like a real energy knot. So all right. I think that will help. It'll help kind of bring more of a completion in, and then just bringing in the compassion. Yeah. And then just really take it through the heart, just anchoring through the heart. And they're also saying, like sealing your home, all entry points, windows, doors, portals, mirrors is really important. So just sealing it in Source's name. So I seal all entry points, windows, doors, mirrors, portals in Source's name. Yeah, good. I can feel it. It is quite intense in your right eye. It's true. I can feel it. Okay. So I think let's close. I don't see anything in the chat from Helen. So let's close from Helen, sending hearts. Okay, so let's close for Helen, 1982. bringing in source's golden light. And then with her higher self, only source aligned. And then we'll do it together, sealing all entry points, windows, doors, portals, mirrors for Helen in source's name. All else not aligned with source must go. And Helen and her space is sealed in source's golden light. Anchored and present with new earth. The sacred garden. Good. Good. Thanks, Helen. So sending some love. Helen says thank you. Okay, so let's take a look at the chat. I think Sinija had a question. Okay, so let's see. Sinija, what does my higher self suggest I can do to help with that? Thank you so much. Okay, so what was the question? Oh yeah. So Sinija says, I feel I'm in a hurry all the time. What does my higher self suggest I can do to help that? Thank you so much. Angel, double hearts, cherries, and a rose. Oh, beautiful. Okay. So, okay, and Cindy just says, I claim all the portals known and unknown to me as well. Yes, only source aligned. Great. And you have to think, like, with all this interference that comes your way, why, little old you, you know? Okay. So, okay, so feeling a rush all the time. So the just clearing for Sinija quickly. Through the hair. So for Sinija, it's the divine masculine. So it's the anchoring and the grounding. So the divine masculine is like the discernment, the focus, the grounding to earth. Yeah. So let's balance the divine masculine. So that's the agency. So bringing agency. It's like, actually, it's also bringing like security, like activating and stabilizing the divine masculine. It's like, it really brings like that secure attachment. And okay. Yeah. And for Sinija's question about time, that she feels like she's in a hurry all the time, there was like, they were like playing with time. So there was like this was like with a global consciousness, like a global consciousness has shifted. And there was this, they were they so the 4D Anunnaki were playing with time, space, portals, all of that. So they're saying it was connected to part of the games that they play. So that has been shut down. And so the ease and grace of time is starting to be balanced. So now it's more like a gentle breeze, more flow, more flow. Like they're showing kind of like, the way a tree in the leaves of a tree would blow kind of gently. It's kind of like that. So it wasn't just you are seeing it correctly, you are feeling it correctly. There was this, it was like electrical prods of rush, 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 and hurry, 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 and you're behind, you're behind, you're behind. Those were the messages that the prodding was instigating. It was like hurting our, affecting our nervous system, but it was real, this. And then they kind of played with time, and for me, I started seeing the light in the morning was different, and the birds, were, singing. It was like 4 a.m. It was like, so I was seeing the shift. I was seeing what was shifting. So it wasn't, yeah, you're feeling what they want to say is that, you know, for Sinija, she was feeling it accurately. She was sensing it accurately. Her senses are accurate. There was a speeding of time, and it was from the 4D interference from the Anunnaki. And, right now we just have to be patient. Like, we just have to have patience, they're saying. Have patience for all of that interference to calm down. It has been removed. It has been shut down. And then now we just kind of have to, like, our bodies will just acclimatize, um, kind of in this, they're saying like acclimatize in like space and time, because that was what was interfered with, like space and time was interfered with. Yeah, they're just stretching your back of your neck, um, your spine. So they're just stretching the spine from your back to your top of your neck. They're they're just releasing the shoulders, because it, like, anytime they do those the electrical prods, it's energy work, right? It's not real, like in terms of like the real the real like physical, like it's not, it's not my hand, it's an energy prod, an electrical prod, and they use electrical devices for that. I what I was told this morning, it was like, maybe the baby boomers, when they were growing up, they unplugged everything. So if you weren't using a toaster, you unplugged it. If you weren't using the oven, you unplugged it. If you weren't using the microwave, you unplugged it. But nowadays, everything is plugged all the time. Our Wi-Fi is on all the time. All our electrical cords are plugged in all the time. That is a lot of electrical input we're bringing into our house all the time. So, like cell phones used to be able to take the battery out. And then now I put my phone on airplane mode at night, but in the morning it's turned on and the Wi-Fi is on. Well, who turned it on? I know I didn't forget because I do it every night. So it's like they're always playing with electricity, and tech is their domain basically. And they do it from 4D, and they interfere with 3D from 4D. So basically, those three groups came together, and that's who took down Lyra. Lyra was the original sacred garden on Earth, where we had our angelic codes, but we were also in a physical body. So they're saying just be patient. Yeah, just be patient. It's shifted already, and then it's already been kind of like, they're saying it's shifted, but it's been shut down basically. So there's enough consciousness. I mean, really, what could they do? I mean, they do all these data centers, but really all the data centers, they're not so powerful. Like, they need all these data centers. They need all of this electrical power to go into these data centers, but really we could just blow them up and they'd be, all that work that they did to put them together could just be like blown up. Not that I'm saying blow them up. I'm just saying that, they act so powerful, but they are not so powerful. Right? They could be spending 100 years creating these data centers and then they could just be blown up and then they're gone, So we have to stop thinking of them as so powerful and be afraid. Don't be afraid. There's nothing to be afraid of. Your source connection with your higher self is the heart is 500. They're at 1%. So yeah, they have tech, but you have a heart, you have a body, you have a connection to source. So they're saying just be patient. The waves, the radio waves, kind of like time, space, they're adjusting, they're calibrating. They're calibrating. Yeah, they're calibrating. That's the right word. That's what they want to say. And then just doing a little bit more clearing for Sinija's spine and alignment, they're saying. Deep breath in and out. So we're sealing all entry points again for Sunija as well. So all portals, sealing in source's name, all mirrors, doors, windows, and then just releasing the right shoulder for Sunija. See, that's how loving they are. Your higher self and source, and guides have only source aligned. They want to help our bodies. They want to give us the answers that we want. They don't want us to be confused. They don't want us to be afraid. They want us to understand, what's going on, and they want to heal our bodies. They really want to heal our bodies. A lot happens to our bodies in 3D. A lot. It's super gross, So they really do, but we have to ask. So these questions, they're saying your question is excellent, Sinija. It's a really good question because that is also you're helping the consciousness of the field right now on 3D Earth as it is shifting to 5D by just naming it. There's something happening with time, and it's like, yeah. I received some hearts, so thank you. So I don't see anything else from Sunija, so I think we'll close and see if that feels good. And I think Sunija's got to leave in 3 minutes, she said. So, all right, let's close the space for Sunija, bringing in Source's golden light, and then kind of like all around. And then we ask for all the healings and energy clearings and all the upgrades and releases to be only source aligned for Sinija's highest and greatest good, right to the root cause, to the very first incarnation. So we're going to the deepest, but we're also doing it with reverence and compassion. And then I just saw a black crow, and the crows kind of, and sometimes I think of them as like the little gossips, but basically they're the messengers saying received. So it's been received. Good. So that would be like a completion. So thanks, Sinija. Good question. All right. Let's look at the chat again. Take a deep breath in, have some water, because energy clearing. Energy clearing. Good. Okay, so let's see. Therese, 1965. I keep having a muscle spasm in my left thumb that contracts my entire thumb. I claim my portals to source also. Okay, beautiful. Just closing up for Sinija. Sinija says, thank you so much. Elaine, that was funny. Weird. It was weird saying my name. Thank you so much, Elaine. Exclamation mark, see you on Thursday, and a pink waving heart. I mean, a pink waving hand. Okay, thanks, Sunija, sending you some love. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your question. Okay, so Therese. Now we'll go to Therese, 1965. I keep having a muscle spasm in my left thumb that contracts my entire thumb. I claim my portals to source also. Okay, beautiful. And then Therese says, Elaine, thank you for the work that you do. I appreciate you! Exclamation mark. Oh, thank you. I appreciate you for being here. Thanks, Therese. And I'm always like, if I'm saying your name wrong, correct me. Because it's what pops into my head, but it may not actually be how you enunciate your name. But anyways, I'm seeing it as Therese. But if it's wrong, please correct me. Okay, so let's take a look. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so we're gonna do we're gonna do the same thing for Therese, which is clear her, or they're saying we're gonna clear Therese's auric field first through the hair. So an antenna. So clearing, clearing, clearing. Yeah, they're saying, you can just do it really gently. Clear, we can clear really gently. Yeah, they want to clear very gently for you, Therese. Okay, so let's take a look. What's happening with the left thumb? Hmm. Yeah, so it's like sorry, it's not laughing at you. They're laughing at the the spasm attack is like, it's like an attack. So the spasm is like an attack. And so they're just saying, yeah, it's interesting. Like, why the left thumb? I'm asking. Like, why the left thumb? Like, why attack the left thumb? Like, why not like the hamstring or something? So they're basically just saying that that's kind of like all the energy the attack has. Like the attack doesn't have much energy, and that's why it's the thumb. Yeah, and they're just saying, like, before you go to bed, like, call in, like, state your intention, basically, state your intention that this space is sealed in Source's name, and then that you declare this space is yours. That's really important. Yeah, they're just clearing, like I'm clearing with my nose, but they're actually tears, and they're just clearing some sadness for you. They're just clearing some sadness and some heaviness. Yeah, they're just clearing some sadness and some heaviness. And they're just saying they're gonna do it like very gently, like very, very gently, like very, very gently, like very gently. the, they're really emphasizing that these releases and shifts are going to be done very gently. Yeah, I'm curious about the thumb, so I'm going to ask again. Like, I'm going to ask them again. Like, no, really, like, what is happening with the thumb? Like, why the thumb? Yeah, it's almost like it creates like a frustration and a fear, but it kind of blocks the sadness from coming out. So they're saying it's actually like a tactic, like a blocking tactic for the feeling, like for you to feel um like present, like if so say you went into your heart and connected to source consciousness and into presence, and then you felt like this sadness. And then they're saying this sadness would come up, and the thumb kind of is like creating a distraction, like to not feel the sadness that is there. But they want you to just know that releasing the sadness can be done in a very gentle, slow way. It doesn't have to be fast. And then they just want to offer that it's a new activation, but it's called a code of sealing, like a code of shielding. Sorry, I misspoke. A code of shielding. So they're just going to help your heart. So this is energy work, but in Chinese medicine, this is the heart line. So there's also, they said, a little bit with the pancreas and a little bit with the heart. So they're just going to do some clearing for, they're saying for both the heart and the pancreas. They're just going to clear, but they're going to clear very slowly and very gently. So if tears come, just allow them to come. And then we brought in the extra code of shielding through the heart. So extra code of shielding through the heart, it brings in kind of more clarity, more discernment, kind of laser focus, clear navigation. So you'll be able to kind of get through life more efficiently and more easily. And they're just clearing right now, they're clearing the heart. So just right here. Your stomach might feel a bit funny, but it's just energy releasing. You can just say yes to the releases. And then if tears come, just allow them, just ease and grace, they're saying, ease and grace. So right now they did a little bit on the pancreas, but it's mostly the heart. So they're saying, again, just as a reminder, it would be good to state your intention before you go to bed, only source aligned. But be the boss, like I declare this space is mine in source's name. And then you can call in your guides, only source aligned, your higher self, only source aligned, to protect you in your sleep, and also to call in healing during your sleep. So just clearing the heart. Therese. Oh, beautiful. Thank you for correcting me, Therese. Okay, so this is for Therese 1965. Thank you. That just reminds me too to ask people that, if they can put in the chat their correct pronunciation. Thank you, Therese, because that makes a big difference hearing your real name. So just healing and clearing the heart. They're like saying the tippy top of the heart. It's right here. They're just clearing and healing. So they're bringing in sort of like a plasma of crystalline plasma. That's the extra code of shielding. They're bringing in the crystal plasma. So it looks like crystals plasma, but it's like a field all around. And the violet, actually, they're saying that this is a really good color, the violet, for you to imagine just kind of being surrounded by violet light. It can be in you and around you, but this kind of color, this kind of violet color. So we're just still doing some work, some healing and clearing for the heart. They're saying it's the upper heart. So I'm guessing up here more than down here. So the upper heart. Yeah, and they're wanting to really emphasize like declaring the space, like declaring your space in and sealed in source's name, but declaring like this is my space and my space is protected in source's name. Yeah, they're just working on your left thumb a bit. Yeah, there's like an agitation, like an irritation in the thumb. So they're just releasing it. And then it's also connected to the right eye. So they're releasing the right eye and the left thumb. And they're sealing all entry points in source's name. That seems to have come through really important today. So no portal jumpers, no false mirrors. Sealing all entry points, the doors, the windows, the mirrors, the portals, and source's name. And then just knowing that it is through the heart and this extra coat of shielding, which then is like plasma and crystalline, but it's like all over, they're saying, but kind of all around you. But you can also just imagine a violet light all around you. Yeah, the heart seems to have it's releasing, so you can see that where the red mark is from the rubbing, so that's it was like an energy block, so not physically happening to her, but it was like an energy block, so they just released it, but it was the upper heart closer to unconditional love, and then releasing the thumb, the left thumb. And then they're using the plasma and crystalline shield for that. That's what they're saying. And think of it as a protective energy shield. Yeah, they're wanting you to feel like you can navigate through life more easily, more ease, more grace. Yeah, they're saying this is a completion. Good. Just using the other thumb and the right to balance the left thumb. So we call in source's golden light for healing and shielding for Therese. We're asking for all the healing energy healings and clearings, the energy releases to be done with ease and grace. This is energy work. Clearing, 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 clearing. They're like clearing, clearing, clearing. They can do it a bit faster now, since the heart is more anchored and has released. Good. So stabilizing your frequency, and then just feel, and then just releasing a bit more tears through the nose, and then through the hair. So we're claiming the psychic attack on the thumb and source's name, and we want it updated in Teresa's records, and that they do not have consent, and that any inferred consent is revoked, and that Therese does not give permission for these kinds of experiences and interferences. And her higher self, only source aligned, will take care of the updates. Good. So I'm just asking, is there more, or is this complete? And they're just looking. Okay, they're just releasing the neck a little bit and the tension in the shoulders to help bring in more ease and grace. Good. Yeah, good. They're saying that's good. Yeah, so Therese, you can ask for an extra code of shielding um, throughout the day. And basically what you're calling in is through the heart, and that you're calling in that plasma crystal. For you, it's a violet kind of protective energy around you. And then at night, really declare that this space is yours and it's sealed in Source's name. And then clearing, clearing, clearing. All right. They're saying, they feel this is complete for now. This is good. And then you're going to feel maybe a little funny in your tummy, they're saying, just because of the shifts of energy and the releasing. They're just saying, just allow it to happen. It's very gentle. You know, they did this in kind of like they're saying they did these shifts in like micro currents, like micro like micro currents, because it's like energy. So they said they did it in like it's the tiniest way that they can possible, but it can like really surprise like the body. So the body might feel a little nauseous. Just breathe. Drink some water. And then just remember that those two things are available for you, which is the extra code of shielding through the heart. And think of it as kind of crystalline and then a violet color, kind of like a living plasma of energy field around you, like a protective shield. And then before you go to bed, to declare that this space is yours and it is sealed in Source's name. So basically, no entry. Yeah. All right. That's good. So that's for trees. So we'll end here with trees, bringing in Source's golden light. I sent some hearts to Therese. I think it's Therese. Okay. Whew. And my apologies for mispronouncing your name, because I think that is very important, pronouncing people's names properly. So Therese. Okay. So let's see. Yeah, good. So seal it in Source's name, complete. And I'll have some more water too, send some hearts. Okay, so Therese is complete. Good. All right, let's check the chat. Let's see if I missed anything. I think we've got everybody. So I just want to thank you for being here. Thank you for joining this YouTube Live. So important. And if you ever have any questions about the decree or questions for me or anything, just let me know. But we can kind of see there were some overlaps in the questions, which is good. It shows there's something happening in the field. And then, yeah, the big thing is sealing your room in Source's name. And then we're getting some energy updates basically with the questions. And so let's end here. Let's end this YouTube Live. And I'm here again on Thursday at 7:30 a.m. Pacific time. And thank you for joining. Thank you for your questions. They're really good questions. And let's seal the space with Source's golden light. Always use your own discernment. That is the most important. If something doesn't resonate and feel true, always follow your own discernment. Take what resonates and leave the rest. And take care with much love and much thanks. I will see you in the next one. Oh, I just got a message from Therese, and she says, no problem. And thank you. I felt the clearing and a red heart. Oh, thank you. I'll send some red hearts back. Thank you for letting me know, Therese. Beautiful. Okay, we'll see you in the next one. Everyone take care and be good to yourself. Call on Source's golden light. Connect with only source aligned higher self. And we will see you in the next YouTube live. Thank you for being here.